Thank you for joining me. So today we're moving on from multiplication and division, and we are going to be talking about addition and subtraction today. So kind of different strategies, okay? So for multiplying and dividing, the key was factoring and then canceling. The key here is now common denominators, all right? That's really what we're looking for in all of these problems is getting common denominators. Now, what I've done is I've kind of stepped us through how this looked back when you first learned fractions to how this looks now, okay? So let's take a look at when we had a common denominator. So here, when you just have two fractions, so here both of them are 7, it just gets to stay 7, and you do the operation to the top. So 2 plus 3 would give me 5. So this has a very same feeling to it. Okay, so here I have a common denominator. So the denominator is going to stay x plus 5. Now we're going to add x minus 1 and 2x plus 2. Okay, you do the operation to the top. So x plus 2x gives me 3x. Negative 1 plus 2 is a plus 1. So then you can just simplify the top. Okay? All right. So let's take a look here. So same thing, I still have a common denominator. So my bottom is going to stay 10, and my top, 7 minus 2, is 5. Now, you also know, way back when you first learned this, 5 over 10, you want to reduce that to 1/2, okay? Same thing with these, okay? So I see I already have a common denominator, so all I have to do is combine the tops. 2x plus 5 minus 1, well, the 2x won't change, but the 5 minus 1 will give me 4. All right? Now, this is where there is still some factoring involved, because on top, notice you can pull a 2 out of the top. Have the same thing top and bottom. That would actually just leave me with 2. So again, same idea, but just make sure that when you can factor and reduce, that you do factor and reduce, okay? Now, what about here? Now we're diving into the uncharted territory. That territory of I don't have a common denominator. I have a 5 and a 4. Well, when those two numbers on there have nothing in common, okay, 5 and 4 have no common factors, anything, remember what you would do. You'd flip-flop. So you take this one, multiply it by 5 over 5. You would take this one, multiply it by 4 over 4. Okay? And what that would do for you is now you would have that common denominator. Okay? So again, that's what you would do back in elementary school when you learned this process. Now let's look at how that would present itself today. So here, same thing, okay? So I have two separate things on the bottom, no common factors or anything like that. So all I really have to do is flip-flop. This one needs the x plus 7s. This one needs the x plus 3s. Okay? And so what that does is now it creates a common denominator for me of x plus 3 times x plus 7. Just like over here, it gave me a common denominator of 4 times 5. Well, let's distribute that to simplify the top. So I have 2x plus 6. Over here, when I distribute that, I get x squared plus 7x. And now, just to make it a little bit nicer, let's combine 2x plus 7x is 9x. And then don't feel like you have to FOIL out the bottom. You can just leave it just like that. All right? But again, just don't forget this idea of you can flip-flop some of those things. Okay? When there's no common factors, just multiply top and bottom by the other one, the one that still needs it. All right, now when the denominators aren't the same, sometimes you don't have to influence both of them. So again, first let's take a look at how this looked in the past. So here, the 14 has everything that the 7 has. The 7 is just missing the 2, okay, to become 14. So in this instance, don't feel like you have to multiply both sides by something, okay? If they already share something, they have something in common, don't be afraid to only manipulate one of them and then do the process, all right? Now, how does this look in our circumstance? Well, in our circumstance, what that means is this factors. And again, I'm going to put my glue around everything. So both of them already have the x plus 2. However, my second one is missing the x minus 2. So note, I'm going to multiply top and bottom. Oh, sorry, I wrote that wrong. I'm going to multiply top and bottom by that x minus 2. Because by doing that, now they have that common denominator. So when you can factor, please do factor, okay? Because now you can see how nicely these combined. So now I have x plus x on top. So that's going to give me 2x. Then I still have that minus 2 over x plus 2, x minus 2. And then just to be sure that nothing cancels, I'm going to pull out that 2 on top, just in case by seeing that fully factor form on top. Oh. Now, obviously it didn't help anything cancel, but it's still a good idea just to check in case something would have canceled because of that. All right, so just a little more practice on those more complex ones, okay? So here I see that this factors into x minus 2, x minus 1. All right? So what that's showing me, both of them already have the x minus 2, and the first one is missing the x minus 1. So I'm going to multiply top and bottom by the x minus 1. All right? So my new common denominator is going to be x minus 1, oh, x minus 2, now I do have to FOIL this piece together now, okay? So x squared minus 3, oh, no, plus 3x minus x minus 1. Then I have minus that 6x minus 7 over that same common denominator. So let's see here. On top, I have x squared plus 2x minus 1. And then I have this being subtracted. So minus 6x plus 7. Okay, make sure you distribute that negative to both things. Now let's put everything together. So on top, that's going to give me x squared minus 4x plus 6 over that common denominator. All right, and finally, let's look at this one. So this one factors as well. All right, so this one, again, looks like it factors to x minus 2, x minus 1. All right, so but this time, what this one is missing is the x minus 2 piece. Oh, 2. So what does it leave us with? Well, on that first piece, when I distribute that x, that gives me x squared minus 2x over that new common denominator. All right, so now let's combine our tops. Well, I have a negative 2x plus 2x here, so those actually cancel. And I'm left with that. Now, the cool thing about this one is notice that top. The top is a difference of squares. So this is why you always want to check to see if there's any factoring you can do, because notice a really cool thing that happened. Now those cancel off, and I get something really simplified. Okay, look at how nice that looks. So just be very diligent with your work here. Again, you guys know the process. It's just making sure that you're very diligent as you're stepping through it to make sure that you're doing it right. All right, so once again, thank you for joining me for this. Make sure you take a moment to write your summary and then come back ready to do your practice work.